There's a bear. I'm going to show no fear. I'm going to get the fuck out of the tent. Oh, it's a raccoon. I thought you were a bear. Okay. Well, you get some food. You can run up the hill all you want. Okay. There's a lesson in here somewhere. Hello, raccoon. Do you want to do an interview? Hello, buddy. You got my fucking feet wet. Hey. Hey. Okay, run up the tree, you fucking coward. I wasn't scared of you. I thought you were a black bear. I got out thinking you were a black bear, bro. Holy shit. I thought there was gonna, it hit the tent. He hit the fucking tent. You heard? God. I was trying to get out of the tent and he smacked the tent thinking I was a threat. And then I got out, I emerged from the tent and he was like, oh, fuck. He got out. Where am I? Where am I going? I turned my heater on because I'm like, if the bear's gonna try to get in, I'm gonna burn him. So I turned my heater on and got right out of the tent expecting to scream at the bear. And it was just a raccoon. You really got me, huh? Now we're gonna get my charger and shit. And we're gonna go throw this bitch in the charger. Fill my senses. We're gonna try to feed this raccoon, try to get him in an interview. I wanna know if the police try to trespass him. Okay, I need the coat. I need just one blanket and a coat, and then I can come back. Here's the coat. Let's turn it this way. I don't think you guys got him on. I don't think I got him. Is he still around? I'm getting cold, fam. Holy shit. Holy shit. What if that was a bear? Let's try to find him. So there was a large rustling outside the tent, and it was going through all my stuff. I'm like, okay, this is a black bear. Nobody cares. Isn't that crazy? The whole secret to content is that you have to realize that the people on the other end are more than likely going to be aggressive little retards that are addicted to porn. I hate content creation, but somebody's got to make a change. If not you, then who, right? So we have to close this. We're gonna take this. And then we gotta find my heater. Gotta find my heater. There it is. Okay. Thank you, God, for getting me out of my slumber. Let's hope that this guy doesn't dig through my tent looking for scraps. Okay, now we have to close the tent. I wish I had it facing the right way. Okay, I'm gonna bank on the fact that the raccoon will be too stupid to figure out how to get inside the tent. And we're gonna throw all the trash. I had a thought today too that I was like, I've just been depressed and chucking my shit because I'm mad at the town, but I'm like, I'm not hurting the town at all. I'm hurting the woods. Okay, now we're leaving. Raccoon, you're the first raccoon I've seen in a year. That was an amazing experience. Thank you to everyone involved in creating it. Now I'm exiting. I feel more in tune with my raccoon self. Because if you didn't know, for the no people that are watching, Casey O'Brien lived as a raccoon outside Burlington last winter. No, 2 winters ago. And he had to dig through dumpsters and trash cans. And he had 40 other raccoons that were with him that he would open up the dumpsters for. And they would get stuck. And I'd have to go free them. And they'd make this big crash when they fell in. Because one of them would hold the top of the dumpster open so the rest could get in. And then that guy would fall in. And then I'd have to go free them. Because they'd try to lift it and couldn't. And it'd make like a big pow, pow, pow of the lid hitting the dumpster. So I had to free tons of raccoons in the spring and late winter of 2023. And I haven't seen a raccoon since, other than dead raccoons I had to bury. Here, more people tune in when you can see my face. I have to dream and hope enough that it resonates and it radiates from my spirit, so that I attract all the little white kids that come in to hate on me, and the jealous white men and women over 40 that want to come and see if they can craft something that might hurt my feelings. And when they can't, they'll just throw in fake smiles and be condescending while I try to get my needs met without panhandling. So I've mastered the art of being outside in the cold, at least for now. It hasn't hit below, I've been asleep. In the times that it gets below 10 degrees, I'm asleep already. But when it gets below freezing in like the 20s, it sucks, but I can be out there. I found a way to get the blankets just right and completely hide in the nest, and the snow doesn't really get to me. And then when it does, I can throw the heater on for about 5 minutes, and it's long enough for me to pass out, and I just don't care if I wake up or not. So that's where I'm at. I spent the last of my money on another coat. Basically, it was like I prayed to God for a certain coat for a long time. And I had two, like I was praying for months for a guitar, for a coat, for boots, and for recording equipment to make better content. And I figured all in once. So I got the money on Monday last week. By the time it got in, I had a extreme cold military sleeping bag, and I bought that. And then the guy wouldn't take my offer. He was asking for 90. I offered him 75. He said no. I said, hey, I'm not trying to make a sucker out of you and get a good deal. I'm homeless and I only make money from YouTube donations. I only gave you 75 out of 90 because I wanted to keep the rest for McDonald's so I could eat. So I said, I can give you 80. And he's like, I'll take it, 80 plus shipping. So it rounded up to be like $90. And then I would have $10 to get 2 McDonald's. So I would have 4 McDoubles to last me the week. Because I'm saving the rest of my food stamps so I can have Thanksgiving dinner for myself. And he canceled it. He was like, I don't give a fuck about this guy. I want that extra $10 that I could have squeezed out of him, I can get from somebody else. So he canceled it. So I'm back to being cold. And that's okay, guys. Because as soon as the money came back, I had exactly $111. So I'm like, okay, that's a sign. So I check Marketplace. What does Marketplace have? But on the top of my For You page, it's the coat that I had been asking God for. When I see myself in a episode of a TV show or like a start of a music video or a piece of content, I saw myself wearing a coat for 6 months. And then I bought a coat that looked kind of like it, except it was just a different type of leather. So it was black and not like a dark brown, and it was fake leather. I bought that one, that red and black coat, thinking that was it. And then open Marketplace, and then a Celtic guitar that I was looking at showed up. A mahogany orange wood for a really good deal showed up. And then this coat. Now, if we know anything, if you all are interested, what happens when I get filled up with a little bit of money from donations is that I get inspired like fuel in my gas tank that I can go further, and I start hunting for something that can better my life, better my content, better my art, and get me closer to where I want to be in life. And when I get that inspiration, that feel, and I'm going, even if I could say the exact same thing, like I could literally, as I'm in my pit of depression, write out what I would send the guy, but then I send it when I'm feeling inspired. For some reason, when I'm feeling inspired, they go dark and they get hateful. And it's only just for whatever reason, I think that they're possessed by a mind flayer, like some type of social media hive mind that's telling them, don't do it, just so that they can fuck with me. So I send out the signal or whatever, saying like, look, can you ship it to me? I'll pay for shipping. Or I ask, like, for this guitar, I was like, is it an Oliver Jr. or is it a Dana? And she just said no. And I check her Facebook, and it's an old white bitch. So that makes me mad. Old white bitches being an old white bitch. I always have to deal with it. So I'm like, okay, I'll let it go. Then the Luna Safari Celtic little travel guitar pops up. It's just a fat white guy, the incel. So I'm dealing with my two main ops this year have been fat white people, fat white men, and old white women. Have been my only ops this year, other than kids that think that they're more hood than they actually are. So brainwashed kids that smoke weed, fat white men, like incel dorky white men that think that they're more than they are, and then old white women that are negative for no reason, miserable. So I had those two, my two biggest ops, and then I had this jacket that I've never seen before in my life. It's nice. It's exactly what I need. It's what I saw in the music video, or whatever I saw. So I bought that for $75. So I figured I lost the military extreme cold sleeping bag because the guy was greedy. The other two people, for whatever reason, we can pick out later why they said no to selling me something, but they picked somebody else. And they were just extremely negative for no reason. Every time I try to buy something, and then I just figured they're like roadblocks. Like I'm on a path, and those are like I can't get around that way. That's not the way I should go. So then this coat pops up, so I bought the coat. So I'm down to $13, and I have one thing I'm going to try to hassle the local thrift shop that I can buy, and then that will make my life, that'll kind of put me on a path, which I'm very excited about. It's just cold. It's cold, and I feel like I'm constantly becoming a sacrificial lamb where my energy gets rerouted. or something like that. But I'm happy with the fruits that I bear, if that makes sense. Speaking of bears, there was a black bear outside my tent. I thought I was gonna die. It went, and its stomps were loud. And I'm sitting in the tent. Okay, my time's up, guys. I'm like prepared to get slashed in the face. I don't care. So I go live one last time as a goodbye. I open the tent flap. I look outside with a thing of food. I turn my Mr. Buddy heater on that's almost out of propane. So I'm like, worst case scenario, if it's there, I'm gonna throw fire at it. I've got it next to me and I've got food. So I'm gonna huck the food and then grab the propane, and then if it comes at me, I'm just gonna shove the fire in its face. That was my plan, while holding the live. And that would be my epic, graceful exit of this universe, or this world, this realm. Then I look outside and there's nothing there. So I'm like, okay, it must have ran down the hill or it's behind the tent. So I get out expecting to get big, and then what do I see in the lights? But it's just a raccoon. It is a bear. It's just a very small cousin of the black bear. So I tried to interview it. I tried to do a street interview, and he ran away like a bitch. Then I realized that I haven't seen a live raccoon in a year and a half. Don't mind my high-pitched voice. I'm in a spiritual battle against a bunch of fat alcoholics with guns. They want my sweet Leo energy. He basically tried to become my dad. I don't know if you guys picked up on how his tonality has changed. Grumpy Cop, how his tonality has changed and his demeanor since, what would you call it, abuse? He walked up and then said nothing and then put his dick right in front of my head and then didn't speak until I went live and then tried to give me a lecture about respect. And then came back like a sissy little baby and could barely form sentences, and then maced me when he could have just told the truth and had a conversation with me. He had to do all these devious little things. And I took the punches because I wanted to highlight that. I figured I don't care. I don't mind going to jail and all the shit they've already done to me before in life. I want to show people what I've been through, so I could pick up his character very easily, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. And it did, because he played sneaky little power games instead of honesty, because he's ashamed of himself inside and he's let himself go. So that happened, man. Here's the moth I've been is back. The moth is still here, guys. There's been a moth that's been hiding under a rock for a couple days trying to stay alive. And I check on him every day. I pour out some fluid for him to take a piss off of this place. I'm pissing off the town of Morrisville. Hey everybody, I'm pissing off the town of Morrisville. There was a bear. It turned out to be a very small bear. I tried to street interview him and he ran away like a bitch. Then I came out here and I've been giving an update on how my life is doing. I spent a lot of money that I saved up. It's snowing. I spent a lot of money that I saved up on a tent. No, on an extreme cold sleeping bag. And then the guy canceled because he could get an extra $7.50 roughly from somebody else. Yep, it has to be on my... Okay, hold on. So I was pissing. I forgot I was pissing. So I didn't want to flip the camera. I forgot why I didn't want to flip the camera. I hope that didn't show up. It's okay. Yeah. So we're just waiting on what happens tomorrow. I didn't like the way... when people try to set me up, I'm starting to be able to get a really good sixth sense of demonic gang stalking and them trying to set me up. So I'm just rejecting their offers when they try, and I'm just doing my own thing. Oh shit. Oh shit. Yesterday, I saw an animal walking down through this way down over into the forest where my tent was, and I thought it was a bobcat. And I was like, what the fuck is that? That's not moving as fast as a coyote. And it looks like it's got the pointed ears, but I'm fucking blind from staring at my phone all day. I don't know what it could be. And then the next day, a raccoon's trying to get into my tent. And didn't I just post that picture of the raccoon? Either way, nobody cares. Nobody's watching. So what should I do? Why should I go live? Here's the moon. Look how bright it is. And it's too wet for me to put anywhere. It's half snowing, half raining right now. So I'm going to charge my phone. I'm probably going to go into the town and try to spend a little bit of money. I'll spend $5 and get a thing of Ben & Jerry's, and I'll get a soda from the dollar store. And then I'll come back and enjoy myself with the heater. All right. There we go. So yeah, I spent the money on another coat. So now I have 3 coats. I lost my extreme cold military sleeping bag because the guy, for whatever reason, but that's fine because I got a coat. So I'm assuming the coat's gonna do me better. And then I guess I'll just have an extra layer. Again, if anybody made it this far, I am looking for jobs. I've applied to over 100 jobs and nobody wants to hire unhoused. I'm living like an Irishman in the 80s. Like I wanted to be like this, and now I'm experiencing, I'm saying that I was wanting to be like an Irishman in the 80s, and now I'm experiencing it through being homelessness, where we're segregated, we're abused, we're treated poorly and unfairly by the public, we're ostracized for no reason, just how we look and who we are, and then we can't work. You know, Irish need not apply, so I can't find any work. I've been trying, like, go back through my videos, I've been going since January. Since January of this year, every single job I've applied to, over 100 jobs, and they just don't get back to me when they find out that I'm unhoused. And then the ones that I lied to, I was immediately like beaten up by police and then thrown in jail for trespassing. I get picked up on trespassing. This is what they do. They trespass you. You're supposed to appear for court. They don't give you your citation, so that you don't know when you're going to go to court. They bank on the fact that you probably won't have a phone because you're homeless. They bank on the fact that you have mental illness and PTSD, whether that was before homelessness or after, where you're reduced to an animal and it's hard to have cognitive function and actually structure your day. So they take advantage of that and hope that you won't go to court. And if you go to court, you're a part of a Freemasonic ritual that steals your power. And if you do go to court, and if you don't go to court, they get to arrest you and they hurt you and they throw you in jail, and they do a whole lot worse than a Freemasonic ritual to steal your life force energy. But I feel like there's more dignity in going to jail. I hate to see the smug look on the judges' faces because he got to live in the brainwashed culture longer, where he has a position of authority that's completely made up. And I don't take it. And he can feel that subconsciously, that I don't take it. So then they'll do a lot to you. It's not just like me saying fuck you to the judge and he's like, all right, another 90 days. It's like I'm just sitting there and I can feel him trying to rape my spirit. And then I deflect it somehow, whether I'm protected or not. And then they do a whole lot worse. And I haven't seen justice yet. But yeah, no sleeping bag, and I bought a coat. The coat's pretty cool. If I got $100 right now, I would buy Eskimo ski pants. They look like jeans, but they go over your jeans. And they have suspenders on them, and they're flannel inside. And they're gray with black padding on the shins for work. And then the last $13 I have, I'm trying to buy a circular saw so that I can come here at night and build something really cool that I'll show off. But who knows what's going to happen, man. Like I said, the jobs haven't gotten back to me. The jobs haven't come back to me, and I'm in a spiritual war where they're whittling down my sense of self, and I'm just grinning and bearing it and pushing forward. And these guys are so fucked up. I think the only way to get through to them is that they're so far into their ego, they forgot everything else. So you're just fighting these monsters that they've created about themselves. I think that's called living of this world. Like when Paul would talk to the people, he wrote them a letter and said, it's pretty obvious none of you are living in spirit. You're all of this world. I can tell very easily by how jealous you are of each other and how you're constantly attacking each other and fighting for social dominance, that you guys are a bunch of little children. And I fully expect to be, I don't know, was Paul ever imprisoned for speaking out? I don't really know the disciples, whether they're real or not. I'm sure part of it was real, but the archetype that they exemplify is just a recurring character in every person's life. Like when you make a video game and you design an enemy. Before they had video games, they just said the enemy. I'm on the battlefield, and I'm going to get some Ben & Jerry's and a 2-liter of Coke, and I'm going to sit by my heater and charge my phone to 100 before I venture out tomorrow to try to pick up more things that I need, much like the raccoon that I just scared out of my tent at the start of this video. Then I will be in the next phase. I did not go see my lawyers today. I didn't like the energy. But I also don't like the feeling of being trapped by an artificial intelligence hive mind that's always ripping and tearing at my spiritual bandwidth. And I'm tired of the people on the internet that think that they know what they're talking about. You want a cool example? You want a cool... I'm a master teacher, right? So the best way to exemplify what I'm talking about is if you go to SJIN, Yogscast Sjin. I think he just goes by Sjin now. Sjin got in trouble for diddling minors, and he was an Englishman in the Yogscast they were goated at one point. Sips is my favorite YouTuber, and Sips is pretty much every YouTuber's favorite YouTuber. Markiplier's favorite YouTuber, Schlatt's favorite YouTuber. Sips is the real guy, the best guy. But he used to work with Shin, and Shin diddled some minors and he got in trouble for it. He got canceled, and then he came back, and now this guy is like 35, maybe 40. Sips is 40. I assume Shin is probably 35 or 40. Same as Andrew Tate. But Shin is this fat guy who makes Minecraft videos called Feed the World, where he designs Minecraft systems to feed mass amounts of villagers. Hoping that it might, maybe he thinks it inspires kids. But if you go down to the comment section, you're going to see autistic fat losers that are just as lonely as Jin, giving him suggestions on how to build his Minecraft system better. And there's no kids. I think it's the funniest shit. Because imagine if Shin, in the 10 years he spent getting 15,000 views a day on his videos, on average. Some days he goes like, maybe he went to like 1 million at one point 10 years ago, but now he gets about 5,000 to 15. Imagine if he dedicated all of his time trying to feed the world in Minecraft, to trying to feed the world in real life. Maybe he would have muscles, and he would have some respect and honor, and he would be contributing to the world in a different way, and he wouldn't have had to diddle his fans, because he'd be on a mission somewhere with the Peace Corps, maybe, developing systems to enhance communities and help their lives. But instead he's making YouTube for a bunch of people that are giving him suggestions on how to play Minecraft better. Imagine if you took all the time you spent thinking about people that you don't like or you're jealous of, and you put it towards identifying solutions for your life and others' lives, and then implementing those solutions. Which is the podcast I tried to start, and then the first day I was going to film it, I went to jail
for, what was it? I think my mom made up a restraining order to try to get sympathy from her grandfather, from my grandfather. And she dwelled in it, that little story that she could spew out to everybody every second she got. Like basically jerking off her ego by living in fear so that she didn't have to go outside or recognize what the person in the mirror is. So she made up a whole bunch of shit for no reason. And then she held it over me trying to make me submit to her will like the police do. That if I did anything, she could get me. She could have the police hurt me again. And then when she got bored of that, when people stopped listening to her, when people stopped caring, and then finally the family she turned against me, sometimes they would break free from the evil clutches of whatever demons are possessing my family. And then they would text me frantically and say like, hey, I'm so sorry. I just realized, oh my God. And then I send them one message, like I heart the message and I start to say like, it's okay. I already forgave you a year ago. I know. I just want the best for you. And then in between that heart and then the message, they're completely sucked back in. And then they're just that invalidated white, no. Talk shit for another year. I don't know what happens. I don't know why. Maybe just because I had to fight for my entire life just to be safe. I didn't have the luxury of comfort. I had to go earn it. I had to literally fight for it. I had to fight people to the death to stay alive since I was a child. In a world that was constantly gang stalking me. And by gang stalking, I mean that something about like I was playing a music note that didn't resonate with their notes. Like I was playing like a holy and they were playing a low distorted cluster of chords that don't make sense and they don't sound good. And when you hear them, it makes you feel in pain. And when I would go, they would start to open that cluster up and realize, oh, I can play any song that I want. And that was so scary for them, they had to hurt me. So I've been doing that my whole life. But now that I'm older, I think I was created for it. And I think that there's a good chance either I was made for it, literally created and destined, or I literally went through lifetimes of this. Because if you think about what's happening in the 1800s, you get up from the ground and you have to fight all day. And there's disease and warring factions. And you go to war. There was no comfort. You had to go to a church to get your software updated. You couldn't just have it right at your fingertips like it's floating around you in a 5G tower, trying to disrupt the fifth dimensional ascension, or the creative collective evolution. And I just want to make my music. I just want to make my art. But it's okay, because I have to make it through winter. And what this has shown me is that now that it's getting colder, the animals are coming out. So that was a warning. They made a raccoon seem like a bear to me. The raccoon was it was a big raccoon. Like it sounded like a small bear, and it was stomping, because I guess lone raccoons in the woods, to make their presence seem scarier than they are, they make loud noises and they stomp on the ground, so that potential predators might leave them alone. So he was coming by the tent. He heard me get up and I said, yo, and then he slammed on the tent, and that sounded like the bear has smacked it. It was loud. So I thought it was a bear. So I think that was showing me that if I don't make a change really quickly, that was like the first wave. Because now whatever's after the raccoon, which would be the hungry bears out in the woods, are going to come for me. And my tent won't be able to defend it. So I'm going to need to do what I was planning on doing anyway, which is building a mobile shack with a door that I can close. that I can eventually add steel reinforcements to, and a window, so that on the off chance there is a bear, I'm lifted off the ground, I am protected, and my food will be in a sealed container that they can't smell very well. So they won't, it'll be more of a chance. Maybe I could even put a potato gun with like, I'll have like if I have chicken in a stove and have like a Blue Eddy portable power station. If a bear comes around, I can put the chicken in the cannon and I can shoot it and light an air horn off, or have a Roman candle at my side, that's how I used to get rid of crackheads. Before I could have a gun, back when they were trying somebody in the hallway and said some mean things on the internet to somebody, they were trying to ban me from having a firearm forever. Before that got thrown out, I used to carry Roman candles in my back pocket and a lighter. And I had a machete at my hip and a sheath, and I had a bat in my backpack. And I had a hat with a crown on the back. And I had this like nice dragon scale floral patterned with a bunch of golden birds bomber jacket and ripped jeans and Tim boots and a chain. And I would walk around like the worst part of Vermont where the crackheads are the most violent, and they were raping kids, and they were trying to get their kids were running away from home en masse, and I had to cart them up the places that they were going to. The shelter programs were abusing them and trying to sleep with them, guys and girls. They were bringing drag queens in to try to groom them and then sit on their lap and shit. That's what was going on in early 2023. So I was taking all these kids on adventures and out to gyms, getting them away from that life so that they could try to, get more enmeshed in the rich people that were around, make a better chance that a rich person would come to them, and they would start to leave that crackhead behind, so that they would realize when the eventuality that Casey left, because Casey got in a relationship with a yoga instructor, that when that inevitability happened, they wouldn't succumb to the streets. But I lost everyone. But in the time they were around, they told me, there was one kid named Joel that sat with me and told me, you really are a king. Like, you don't wear the crown. He was trying to explain to me that I walk the walk, when at first people thought that I was trying to put on a show. I was like, no, these were all gifts. People gave me these. I was in rags, and then I went through life, and then from the good that I was doing, I was rewarded with things. Like, I guess this new coat that's coming up. I think that's a good story. It's emotional. It's good content. It's real. I don't really do it for the viewer. I guess I'm doing it for the other content creators that are trying to realize that this is the way better way. This is the Wild East. This is not the calm before the storm, but this is the underground. This is the upcoming revolution where we're growing like a wildflower. Where the content creators were put there specifically for a purpose, and they had to play a role. And that inspired us to grow in tons of different ways. And then soon there will be so many of us that the positions set by whatever's controlling the system will either have to stop or submit to the fact that we can do anything we want. And I think that that's God's plan. So I'm mostly just here. I'm telling you that whatever I created or we co-created with my content, the character that we developed, the system or the spirit or the energy seeps out. And I'm finding things, like I've been saying it for years. I've literally been saying it for years. Who's here? One. I've literally been saying it for years that whatever I become in my individuation process, as I ascend past it and I learn about that aspect of life and I grow beyond it through horrible trials and tribulations, when I am in need of reinforcement or reinvigoration, or not re-education, but just positive, like a positive support that I'm doing the right thing and that I'm actually helping the world. I'll get some random video where a kid gets inspired to say something that I created. So I sit and I don't get inspired to say something. If I do, I say it. And I tell you, I got inspired to say it. But instead, I'm watching like some lost kid like Will Survives that saw my video months ago, or I put a video out with his hashtag. And now, I know people say scratching your nose is a sign you're lying. I'm not lying. I don't think it's a sign you're lying. But my nose did start itching. What I'm saying is he started talking like me, and his content shifted completely in one video that I saw, because I don't keep up with him. But the one video that I saw that was recommended to me after 6 months after I made that video about Will Survives, I check on his content, and he's become basically me. If you go back to when I started in Vivek's cabin, the way that I'm talking and the way that I'm doing things, the emphasis that I put on words, even the tone of my voice, the vernacular he used, the culture that he had become, I guess, whatever he was expressing, was something that I created alone in isolation, far away, on a mountain, exalted, brave, fighting through a world that wants to hurt me, by myself, and just making whatever I can make to get myself through it. I created weapons of expressing myself. And those things that I created, I get to see in content creators across the world. Other notable mentions for this year specifically is Smosh. I was manifesting me on Smosh. I would watch Smosh. I've been watching it for 2 years, eating McDonald's and laying in my car and watching Try Not to Laugh and laughing at the art and that it's funny. Smosh cured my homophobia. I ain't even gonna lie. I wasn't afraid of him as much as I was angry at them for what pedophiles had done to me. So I hated gay people. And Smosh, who was all Irish, did that. And then back when I was pushing Ireland heavily, Smosh went up and said that, hey, we're all Irish. Keith Leak Jr. said, actually, I'm an O'Brien. And that day, someone had called me Keith at McDonald's before I went to go sit down. And I was like, I'm not Keith. And then Keith goes, I'm an O'Brien. I'm like, okay, let's change that. Bam. Now I'm not Keith. Whatever was trying to make me Keith will now be Casey. And then they all came out as Irish. And now, a year later, what do we have but Bit City? So the oldest YouTube channel, the first YouTube channel, has this show every Friday called Bit City. What has Casey been doing? Part of my journey, like there's so many different layers and aspects, but part of it was for the past 10 years is that I was never really around my father. So I had no real masculine role models in my life. And I was learning from people on the internet. And then part of what I wanted to do, like something I wanted to express to the world, was to be for a while I wanted to be like a coach for autistic people. I wanted to get them buff, give them social skills, and allow them to shine creatively in a way that creates creative solutions to worldly problems, and do it in a way that isn't systematic and watered down like the industry, like Mr. Beast is going and making, like, I'm going to give 100 villages the same exact house, plus a water supply, and then they can go from there. Mine was more like, go there and see what they want to do, and then provide the education or something that they could grow out in certain ways, and then go to war with them for a little bit. Or also I just wanted a bunch of guys to get buff and get laid, and then that would set off a wave. And then I realized the value of staying quiet, and that people don't deserve to understand what I know. And I should keep what I learned to myself, because there are copycats and jealous people and people that don't deserve it and people that will try to one-up you. And that it's better to just live a simple life. And that's what every other 33 life path is doing. Like Emery Tate was a super genius, and he just traveled around the country and the world playing chess by himself. And then the stuff that the cool stuff that he learned, the things that he invented, he would just share to other chess people. And then his kids went on to embody those people, that he didn't want to live that life. So he had other people do it for him. And that's what I always felt like. I'm the king of kings. Right? Like the sun god Horus, the eagle man. Oh yeah, but Smosh did Bit City, and then Bit City was How to Be a Straight. That straight guys are back after I spent 2 years fighting off the gayness in my mind that was put in me by a pedophile. And they tried to really gaslight me for years. For 2020, I was surrounded by pedophiles in public housing that were constantly trying to like get at me. And one of them was a psychic that I'm sure was doing witchcraft. Now that I understand spirituality, I can go back and see what was happening. Where I'd have dreams that the guy was trying to suck my dick and like encouraging me and like blocking my ancestors in my dreams from telling me the truth. And I'm just sitting there like brain damaged and traumatized and scared. And then I ran away, and the first person that I went to was the guy that picked me up in West Virginia, tried to convince me I was gay, and then he would hit on me. So I had to fight that off in my mind for a long time. And then the other guy that kept coming at me was Gary Gay. And I always felt like he was constantly, he's just a jealous guy that I guess every girl that he had a crush on in high school, I wound up sleeping with while he was trying to get with them. So in his life, he's trying to do the thing to get the girl, and then I would swoop in and fuck his bitch. And I had no idea. I didn't even know the guy existed until he showed up outside my apartment. And I guess he thought that we were in a rivalry for years. He was talking to me like I was his arch nemesis, and I was doing it all deliberately on purpose. And I'd seen him once in my ex-girlfriend's DMs, and I read the DMs, and he was like trying to act suave. And then the girl that he was talking to was a bipolar schizophrenic, and she had tried to cheat on me before. So I just kind of kept her at a distance, and she was always fighting for my love, and I was just busy doing other things. So he was like the simp that she would vent to like a diary, and he thought that he was finally getting back at me. And then it didn't work because I left her to go to Miami to fuck bitches with my childhood heroes. And then she got with him. And then when I came back, she came back to me. So then he tried to slander my name for months. But that's Gary Gay plus all this gayness. And that girl was beautiful. She was considered one of the best looking in town, like for a long time. I don't know if she still is. I don't know what, she has a kid now, so probably not. But at one point, she was like she worked at Price Chopper, and there was like 6 other aisles, and her aisle at Price Chopper would fill up full of guys ages 10 to 60 that were trying to see if they still had a chance to flirt with her. And she was like, oh, I'm in a small town, I live in Disneyland. I don't realize what's happening. So that's a lot of themes about gay, and then they come out on Smosh, and they say straight guys are back, and the straight guys are the name of that girl's cat, who's a Sagittarius. It was 3 Sagittarius, and then one of them was named Casey, and then one of them was named after that my ex-girlfriend's cat. And they went, the whole bit they put on a show was Casey and all these Sagittarius showing off how cool it is and fun it is to be straight. That was the whole bit, is that straight guys are back. What else? I mean, Kurt Cass, Kendrick Curry, Cassius Culpepper, Kurt Cobain, Cassius Clay, Kai Cenat, KC3, Irish Caseys, Celtic Caseys are making waves across the entertainment industry. And then they all start to become like me. And I wouldn't say I'm becoming like them, because I don't feel like I'm anything at all. I feel like I'm just building Legos in my house. And then occasionally a friend comes over. All right. Is that enough content? Did anyone say anything? No. Not even people telling me to get help. It is what it is.